Hey, Jeannie Lynch coming to you today. So excited to share my tribe with you. This is a collaboration of other healers, other practitioners, other intuitives coming together to share our insight. Where does the information come from? How do we get our information? How do we trust it? Why do we do this work? And so on. So stay watching. You're going to meet some amazing healers along with uncover individually how and what and why we do this work. I hope you enjoy this collaboration. Thanks to all who participated, and certainly thank you for watching. Enjoy. Hello, my name is Jeannie Lynch, and I'm an intuitive spirit coach here in Venice, Florida. And I'm absolutely excited to be part of this collaboration on video about what it's like to be a healer and what it's like to be intuitive and help others heal.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Nicholson Fowler, and I'm really psyched to be here with Jeannie Lynch and to partake in her collaboration with other healers, discussing what intuition is to us and how we use it in our different practices. I am a Usui master teacher, Reiki master teacher, and a Karuna Reiki master teacher. I teach animal Reiki and I teach medical Reiki and almost every kind of Reiki that you could imagine.
Hi, my name's Heather Payne, sometimes known as Tej Birkar. I am an intuitive, an essential oil enthusiast, as well as a Kundalini yoga practitioner. A little bit about what I do. Using essential oils, creating blends specifically for people, using intuition, tapping into their sense of well-being and what they need, creating a mantra, and creating an oil to help them reprogram their brain to have a new thought pattern. So say you're lacking joy and you want to have more joy in your life. I would create a blend of oils that spoke specifically to creating that pattern in your body, as well as create a mantra for you that you could say while inhaling the oil or placing the oil on your body that would help anchor that new mantra or that new way of being into your body. I also teach Kundalini yoga. Sometimes I combine the two, essential oils and yoga. And I use my Kundalini practice with people to really dive into a sense of peace, love, and compassion using the heart center. That's the yoga that I practice. I'm excited to be a part of this project with Jeannie. Thanks for asking.
Hi, my name's Lisa Murdoch. My business is Luminous Journeys, and I reside here in Vermont on the beautiful shores of Lake Champlain. My background's a bit diverse. I have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and then I did a 3-year training in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and a year intensive of inner child study in Santa Fe. I've done a 3-year formal training in Druidry and many informal years of shamanism, plus access consciousness work and emotional freedom technique tapping, and lots of other modalities that I've picked up along the way. I work with clients who feel stuck in their lives, who maybe are not satisfied with how their life is going, or people who are tired of repeating the same old patterns over and over and not getting anywhere. Also, I assist people who are already on that self-growth path or spiritual path. My work consists primarily of hands-on energy work with all the other modalities mixed in. I consider myself a teacher as well as a healer because I teach my clients tools and techniques that they can use when they're at home, when they're not in session with me anymore, and they can continue doing this work. And I also do a lot of work with helping my clients examine their belief systems, what's working, what's not, and developing new belief systems, changing those old thinking patterns. I also do long distance sessions if you do not live nearby.
Hi there, I'm Gordana Stankovic. I work as a counselor and life coach in my own practice that I call Living Peacefully. My counseling approach, life coaching approach, is the combination of humanistic counseling and nonviolent or compassionate communication model. So I provide basically warm, encouraging, supportive and very accepting and non-judgmental environment for the clients to dig deep into their own beliefs, desires, needs, lives, and to express their passions freely. And I accompany them and guide them and support them in the creation of the most authentic lives for themselves, one choice at a time, one day at a time. Additionally, with my partner Jerry Zondervan, I facilitate authentic relationship workshops, and also we facilitate workplace communication trainings. I currently live in The Hague in the Netherlands. I was born in Croatia in the town of Vukovar, but really in my heart and soul I'm very borderless, kind of a citizen of the world. That's more in my mindset.
Hello everybody, my name is Gretchen Heidel and I'm an intuitive astrologer, a psychic medium, a certified master NLP life coach, therapeutic hypnotist, EFT practitioner, also an ordained minister, and a Reiki master. And so what do? That's a very long way of saying that I help people. I help people on an intuitive, spiritual, and astrological level where I'm able to look at a person's astrological birth chart. I'll pull that up and we will look at your soul's blueprint. What patterns do you have? Past, present, future? What's coming up for you? What choices are you making? And so I love looking at those things and being able to work with a person's energy instead of against it. Sometimes there's timing. Astrology is really the study of time, and so timing is really a very, very important thing in life. Also, a psychic medium and being intuitive, I'm able to pull upon my gifts that I was blessed with naturally, and as well as I've worked on increasing in my own life, and being able to help guide people through life's ups and downs and choices that we have to make. Sometimes people come to see me when they've had a new relationship, or maybe it's a relationship that they're struggling with. In the astrological birth chart, that's the soul's blueprint. So I'm able to see what is your relationship with your parents or with your siblings or with your coworkers or a lover or a partner, and be able to kind of work with people through those types of relationships. Now, when I get into the modalities of what I've learned how to do as far as being a life coach and as far as Reiki and EFT, those are all tools that I use in case somebody wants to go further into something that they might be struggling with. I would be able to assist people through those processes.
The question is, what does it mean to be intuitive? And to me, it's an honor. I do see it as a gift. I see it also as a responsibility, and I see it as an offering. So first off, I believe absolutely everybody is intuitive, and we all have that innate sense about ourselves and about whether we're in harm's way or whether that's right for us, or values or consciousness or clarity, right? I think people struggle with connecting to their own higher self, and I know for a fact that intuitives are terrible when it comes to their own self, right? So we're so much better at giving information to other people. We're called the keeper of secrets, and that means that people just are attracted to us because for some reason the information that is around us or available to us can flow effortlessly. So I think when I think about the definition of intuitive, it really does mean just being connected and in the flow of a broader aspect of self, and off ego, away from ego, into just that collective consciousness. And I think we all can be tapped into that. I just think that some people spend more time connected to Source and have put themselves out there to assisting others.
That's a great question, because Reiki is a very intuitive modality. It's actually one of the ways of doing Reiki is called Reiji Ho, Ho meaning method, and Reiji meaning guided by spirit. So what you do is you are kind of communicating with the energy of the person on the table, and you sense where the body is having some stagnation problems or some illness, and you need to move that energy around and you get it balanced again. So there's the intuitive part of practicing Reiki in addition to the messages that you sometimes get from spirit.
For me, I think it's that knowing, that sense within you that you just can't shake. It doesn't ever steer you in the wrong direction. It always is where you should be. And sometimes it's even bigger. Sometimes it's knowing that maybe your time is short with somebody, but you don't know why. It's just a sense of knowing.
Being intuitive means that one can communicate with the non-physical to receive guidance and wisdom beyond the five senses. Everyone is intuitive. The degree of intuitiveness has a lot to do with our thinking and belief patterns. Judgment is one that gets in the way hugely. So the majority of my work is intuitive based. My work is a collaboration between myself, my client, and other. And that intuitive guidance during a session can show up in many different ways. I'll give you some examples. One, I'll know if a client is letting me in or not, if they have energetic blocks, walls up so that I can't access. I will know if they're saying one thing but they really mean another. Or I may ask them if they're ready to let something go and they say yes, but I can feel that it's a no, and then we dig deeper to find out what's really going on, what's holding them back. I may get guided to share a particular statement, and I'm thinking, why do I want to say this to them? I don't need to say this, but I say it, and then it resonates deeply with the client. I know if things have shifted or not, so that's extremely helpful. I often get guided to do techniques that I have never done before. And then sometimes later I'll read about it in a book or learn it in a workshop, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I did. Now I know what it's called. Sometimes I have my hands on client, maybe their lower belly, and a lot's happening there, but I've been there for a long time and I want to move on to a different part of their body, but I'm just not allowed. Like, I can't hardly move my hands away. And eventually, after some time goes by, then they just release and I can move somewhere else. So I trust that. I often will use sound in my healing, and sometimes I'll get guided to get my drum to play it over someone's body, but as soon as I start walking toward them with the drum, I get repulsed. It's like, whoa, this is not going to work. Or I play my drum over them and it sounds lovely, they like it, but it's really actually not doing anything. So I can tell when it's actually working and when it's not. Yes, and the big one is that I can feel people's stuck emotions, traumas, or what that are lodged in their body. And so, bottom line, if I just did techniques, I would not be having the success that I'm having. It is combining my techniques with the intuitive guidance that is so effective.
I'd like to start by saying that being intuitive for me is not some kind of a special power or special ability. I believe that we all have been born intuitive, and that being intuitive is our true nature. However, most of us have been conditioned throughout our lives by our parents, by our society, the environment, the education system. We have been conditioned out of our true nature. Therefore, being intuitive is recognizing that my true nature, which is the part of the greater consciousness, is intuitive and it knows. And then it's actually allowing the connection and alignment with that essence, the source of the true nature. And then even further, it is living and acting in our daily life from that alignment with that intuitive, authentic beingness, that true nature.
So the question is, what does it mean to be intuitive? I feel that intuition is an additional way of perceiving information, or maybe being able to perceive information that's outside of our five senses. If you've ever heard of the term the sixth sense, I actually feel that the sixth sense, which is kind of what we call intuition, right? We also have another name for it, which is a gut feeling. I feel that the sixth sense actually piggybacks the five senses, and that's actually where we get into what I nicknamed the clairs. So clairvoyant is the ability or gift to be able to see a vision, or to, maybe see a spirit, or being able to see a video, like a mind movie. Clairaudient is being able to hear messages. Clairsentient is literally a kinesthetic or physical feeling. And claircognizant is merely just knowing. You don't know how you know, but you just know that something is happening. Now, the clairs piggyback the five senses. If you can tell, it's all of our physical senses. And so it's information that's additional on the outside of that. And I feel that every person on this planet has the ability to perceive outside information. Some of us can do it better than others, and some of us have even tried to work on having that and to have it be increased. Being empathic, which I didn't mention, is the ability to feel other people's feelings and emotions. And so those are all different ways of receiving the intuitive or the sixth sense. I feel it's extremely helpful in life. It's something that I call upon all the time, and I feel that other people can do that as well. The key is to figuring out which is anxiety and which is intuition.
Where do I think the information comes from? I think the information comes from higher self. I mean, just a self of us that's just a little higher or faster vibrating or more aware than we are, because we're in a physical body and we're so limited. I think it comes from the universe. You can call it whatever you want, the veil, the other side, spirits, angels, God. They're just all beautiful names for how I've been able to understand just a collection of consciousness. I think we are evolving. I am not one of these people that thinks the world's in a terrible place. I think we're actually becoming aware and evolving as souls. And I think we're here to do that. And I think we're here to do it together. And as the person next to me becomes healed, a little piece of me becomes more healed. And I think we can help heal the planet. I really do. I believe that. And I'm going to continue to believe that it supports, I think, this work. So I think it comes from a place that is so pure and so clear and so knowledgeable and so loving and so kind.
For me, it's channeled through the angels. I work with the angels and the ascended masters, and they're the only ones allowed in the room besides myself and my client. So I'm always sure of getting something that is healing to my client. I have had some lower energies try to come in, and it's so evident to me that it's not from the highest realm, that it's discarded immediately. It's really interesting.
Where does intuition come from? It comes from the soul. That's where it comes from for me, anyhow. Everybody might have a different interpretation of that, but for me, it comes from my soul. And when you're connected deeply, your human body and your soul body are connected. They communicate in such a beautiful way that your intuition just becomes who you are. You just know what you know, and you don't question it anymore.
I believe it comes from all three areas. For myself, it comes from my personal guides, some that I've had all my life. For my client, it could come from their personal guides, it could come from their higher self, and oftentimes from their body. And that seems to be where my biggest intuitive gift is. I seem to have a knack for feeling and finding anything that's blocking my client. And so their body will speak to me and show me any kind of unprocessed, unaccepted emotion, trauma from their past. So now the other, coming from the other, that could be a variety of different things. It could be from my client's ancestors. It could be from angelic beings, from deities, the fae, elementals, light beings, divinity itself, and much more. So I believe that these beings are not limited from time and space as we are. So I think that they can see and understand things in a much broader perspective than we can using our five senses and logic.
But I'd like to add that for a long time I was somehow searching for peace, happiness, some kind of security, and I tried to acquire it by accumulating knowledge and diplomas and degrees. And it's only that when I started engaging and studying nonviolent communication or compassionate communication, even more rather than studying, living, when I began to live compassion, is that I realized that the peace and the happiness and security, they cannot be acquired from the outside, nor in some future moment. Rather, I have realized that there is only now, and that when I make peace with this moment, when I make peace with now, that is when I am able to tap into this inner knowingness, which is both in us and it's of us. And it has nothing to do with the learned or acquired knowledge. Rather, it is what is often referred to as inner wisdom or inner voice, which really resides in the depth of our inner self. It resides in our essence, in love, in joy, in our peaceful nature.
The question is, where does the information come from? As you know, I'm a trained astrologer and I've been studying astrology for pretty much almost my whole life. And so I have to know actually a lot about astronomy in order to know about astrology. In other words, I have to know all these astronomical things, the sun, the moon, Venus, Mars, all those things. And so I'm looking to science to then interpret things in a metaphysical science sort of way. And so when I talk about where does the information come from when it comes to intuition, I actually feel a little bit of the same feeling. I like to look at science and I like to look at the metaphysics. I actually do believe one day we are going to learn at some point that intuition is actually associated with the flight or fight system of our brain. Feeling and perceiving danger, anticipation of danger, all those types of things. And I do believe that it's built into us human beings to help us. I And so that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, I look at things in a very spiritual way as well, meaning that I believe that there is a current of energy that we have that sort of goes, it's divine universal energy is kind of what I call it. Some people call it God, Buddha, Allah, whatever, or some people just say the universe and leave it very broad. But whatever this wave of energy is, it's almost like a river. And some people, access the river in all different ways. You might put a boat in the river. I might dip my big toe in the river. Somebody else might put a dock in the river. And there's all different ways to access this river. And I feel that when we are sort of closer to that divine universal energy, or some people call it God energy, we can actually access that river, and we're closer to the river, and therefore being able to access the information intuitively or otherwise in a clear sort of way.
When I look at trusting the information that is coming through, it's a big challenge because we have these beautiful egos, and ego is important, right? It keeps us safe. I'm pretty sure that if you were getting in an accident on the road and a car came out in front of you, it would be ego that would save yourself because you'd slam on the brakes. But I think when you're doing the work and you're connected to Source, I think you really do have to move ego out of the way. And the way I've been able to connect and understand and trust is the information just feels beyond me. And I also love the fact that it might not be a language that I have or an understanding that I know. So when I truly know and trust that it's coming from that place, that love, and that, as I mentioned, I truly know I can trust it because it's bigger and better or broader than I could possibly think in this mind of mine, that practical aspect of ourselves, right? So to trust the information is probably the hardest part in doing this work, but to know it's pure and to know it's clear. If it doesn't feel that clean or that pure or that honest, we can filter it. In fact, it's our job to do that. And that's how I'm able to trust the information. It feels like light. It just feels like support. It feels like love. And I know that a guide will never be able to stop you from running into a burning building, but it can certainly point you in the direction and show you the smoke. That's the best way I can define that.
Information. I trust this information because I only allow those from the highest realm in the room with me and my client. I'm so sensitive now, so intuitive, if you will, that I pick up immediately if some spirit wants to get through or information wants to get through that's not from the highest angelic realm or from the ascended masters. I ask for protection, and so I get it. Intuition is a little bit new to me. I didn't go looking for this. When I became a Reiki practitioner, I simply wanted to be the best healer I could be and channel the purest, strongest Reiki that I was able to channel. Angelic information is always loving, always uplifting, always healing.
How do you trust the information? You don't always. There was a time when my intuition was speaking extremely loud to me, and I didn't listen to it at all and went in completely the wrong direction, or did I? But when I do listen to my intuition, and I do trust my intuition, it never leads me in the wrong direction. Feeling that inside feeling that you feel. But when you trust your intuition and you follow it, again, it's never going to leave you in the wrong direction. Never.
I have gradually learned to trust the information coming through. It has taken me a while. When I first started doing this work, my clients' deceased parents came into the session, and it was the first time anything like that had ever happened to me, and I wasn't sure if I could trust it, but I shared it with my client, and I was getting specific information, and I shared that, and then he started crying, and he knew without a doubt it was really his parents. So that woke me up to say, whoa, this is possible for me. And then I started trusting more. And then I had a long a long time where a lot of people's ancestors were coming into session, and that was extraordinary because sometimes I would work just with the deceased dad or mother or grandmother, and my client would heal without me even touching my client. Or I would work with my client and the ancestor would do some healing. So there's definitely a strong connection there. And that made me trust a lot more as well. Another way I've learned to trust is doing long distance work. At first I didn't think I could do that, and then I started doing it, and it blows my mind. But it really shouldn't, because I kind of get an idea of how this works. Anyhow, I can have my hands, I'll tell my client that's long distance, I'm working on your knees right now, bring your awareness to your knees, and I'm there for a little while, but then I get guided to move to their head. And I didn't tell my client that I moved to her head, and I'm working on her head, and I'm experiencing all this light flowing into her head, and then she starts telling me on the phone, there's all this light flowing into my head, oh, it's amazing. And so constantly getting validation like that. So every time I get validation, I trust more, I open more. I trust more and open more. And so every time you open more, you get to experience more. You go deeper. And so, but, you know, even with all these years of experience, like just unbelievable experiences, that I shouldn't be skeptical at all about this intuitive guidance. But sometimes I still am. And sometimes I will get a message to give the client, and I'm like, no, that's just coming from me, or that's not relevant here. And then I'll get it louder and louder and louder until finally, oh, okay, I'll share it. So then I share it, and then my client breaks down crying or what, right? Or it resonated very deeply with them. So trust over time and practice.
When I'm in touch and aligned with that innate, intuitive knowingness, there is a flow. It is a sensation of energy streaming. So it's a current. It's almost like a current that is quietly streaming throughout my body and the outside of my body. There is this sensation of that the boundary of what is my body and what is the outside world blurs. And in those moments, I am living love, which is the essence. Love is the essence of all, of everything. And so, therefore, it's in those moments when I'm tuned into that flow of this energy of pure joy and love, that is when I can trust that the information and the action that comes from within me is coming out of alignment with my true nature. That's, that flow, that joy, that is really, those are the indicators that this is something pure, real, and true to me.
So the question is, how do you trust the information? And boy, I loved that Jeannie Lynch put this together and asked this question. This was my favorite question, because I get a lot of people that ask me, the word trust, right? How do they know the difference between anxiety and intuition? In fact, some of the most intuitive people actually are also some of the most anxious people. If anybody out there viewing this watches Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, she's a very anxious person. She's talked about that very publicly. I actually have had my own form of anxiety. And so how do you tell the difference? How do you trust the information? How do you tell the difference between anxiety and intuition? Meaning that you're maybe getting this message like, I should check on the stove, I should check on the stove, I should check on the stove. Well, I will just say that anxiety feels very much like a mosquito at a picnic. It sort of just buzzes around, and it's like, it's annoying, and it's there, and it just kind of is doing its thing. I feel that that is what anxiety feels like versus intuition. Intuition is usually a very firm, hard hit. It's usually the instant feeling you get about something, and it usually is very sort of strong and direct, where anxiety sort of feels like this little like you should just you got to worry about that and worry about this. That's what anxiety feels like versus intuitive information. I have learned to trust, and learning to trust your intuition when I teach my classes is really the biggest thing when we're dealing with intuition. Learning to trust that first feeling. It's usually quick, it's usually fast, and then what we do as human beings is we tend to mess up the message by trying to interpret it and overthink it and overanalyze it, where usually it's the very first message, the feeling that you received.
Answering the question, why do I do this work? That's a beautiful question, and it's multifaceted and complex to answer, but it's also very simple. I do this work because I can, because I feel it is an honor, because I love assisting people, because I love helping people understand that they actually also have this gift. So it's helping people tap into their own intuitive sense and their own knowledge and their own knowing, their own best light is such a beautiful thing, In order for there to be a shadow, right, there has to be light, and it's really doing the work that every soul is intended to get beyond that shadow and really stand in the light. It's just such an honor. I do this work because I'm passionate about helping people and shining the light on them and letting them know their gifts. We're all just these beautiful gifts that we offer the world. I will tell you, I don't agree with the whole idea that this world is this rotting place that is getting worse by the moment, when we're ruining the planet. I believe that this place is evolving, and we are, as conscious souls, evolving, and that it can only do one thing. It can only get better, because each day is just a little bit better. And what is that? How does that happen? With our awareness. So I do this work to help people be aware that we are all part of the collective one, right? And it's our responsibility to help move along all, and that we can't truly be done this work until we're all at that whole pure state of awareness. And do we have a far way to go? Yeah, I kind of think we do. We'll be in work for quite a while. My job is not done here, and neither is yours, but to be part of it is beautiful. That's why I do this work.
Reiki actually saved my life after the death of my oldest son, John, 10 years ago. And I refused to go through life depressed and plodding through and not healed. I just wasn't going to do it. So when he was in the hospital, we had Renee Charette, who is my Reiki master. She came in and did Reiki around his bedside, and that was the first time I realized I could see energy in colors. And she told us what to do and visualize, and shortly thereafter he did decide to go to the light. And a couple months after that, I felt like I was getting stuck in my grief, and I wasn't about to stay there. So I remembered Renee, and I called her up, and she came over, and she did Reiki with me, and my grief just roared out of me. It was intense, it was awesome, it was powerful, it was still gentle and loving with all that going on. And I felt like I could finally breathe when I got up. And I was like, what is this? I have to know more. I have to understand what this is, because it's so incredibly powerful. It's so beautiful. I feel like I'm really on the path to healing now, and I wasn't when she came. And I don't even know how long that was, maybe 30 minutes. And so much had changed. So that's why I do what I do. my joy and my purpose is to share this beautiful healing modality with everyone who's interested in it.
Why do I do the work I do? It brings me joy. I think that over the years, the work I've done has transformed me and helped others. And I've always said if I could just help one person, then it would be worth it. And I think that's happened. My work has transformed much over the years. And I just really enjoy what I do right now. It's simple, it's easy. It comes from my heart. It comes from my soul, which in turn is my intuition. And I believe it truly does help not only me, but those that I work with.
I do this work because it is my greatest passion. I have been on a journey of self-growth, self-exploration for many years now. And I have come to a time in my life where internally I experience immense joy and unconditional love very often, not all the time. And I know that internal joy and love is not dependent on anything externally. And I've known this because I've experienced that joy while laying in bed with pneumonia, really ill, or when I've been in extreme pain, or many other things in my life. So we can access that joy at any time. And I believe that joy and that love is who we truly are. That is our essential nature, our truest, highest self. So it is my intention to assist others on their path home to their true self, for them to live a life of empowerment, freedom, peace, and joy, and love, and expansiveness, and connection. So I have been so deeply honored and thrilled to be part of and to be witness of such huge transformation, to connect with someone on a soul level and to watch them open and blossom. And also, I do this work because the more of us who live their life that way, the better off our planet's going to be and all its creatures on it. Blessings.
Why do I do this work? Well, when I'm with another human being, offering my presence and holding the space of unconditional acceptance, I'm often able to witness the moments of joy and connection when another human being touches into their true nature, beyond the conditioning that they have acquired throughout their life. And those moments for me are the moments where we are touching that of divine energy in ourselves. And those moments are the moments when even for a split second, another human glimpses the possibility of living a life of freedom, of fulfillment, and of love. And so I am doing this work because I have this constant desire to grow, need to grow, as well as to be a part of developing unstoppable movement of awakened consciousness, where we all are living from our true love nature, and where we all are evolving into the best of ourselves, of who we were meant to be. And so for me, that's quite magical. That's why I do this work.
Why do I do this work? Well, first of all, I'll just say very, very much, 1000%, I feel that this work is an absolute blessing. For me to be able to do this full time, to make it my career, I just feel so blessed and so honored to be able to do this type of work. And I do it to help other people for sure, hands down. I've done all kinds of other types of careers. I worked in veterinary medicine. I actually sold real estate. And I really had trouble sort of coming out of the spiritual closet, so to speak. I was very hung up on, you know, when you were in school, you know, the teacher didn't say that you could, you know, they said fireman or lawyer or doctor or something. They didn't say you're going to grow up and be an intuitive astrologer. And I had a really hard time with that, even though my whole entire lifetime behind the scenes, I've been working with others, counseling others, helping others in a spiritual, astrological, you know, sort of way. And in fact, people would say, I just need some Gretchen time. You know, that there was actually a name for it. And I would have all kinds of clients and friends and coworkers and whoever that just said, I don't know why, but I feel better every time I talk to you. And that's what I love to help people with. I love to help people to be able to process things. I've been through a lot of things in my own life. And I think sometimes just having this additional information, this additional lens or way of looking at your soul's blueprint and saying, well, gee, you know, why are these things occurring and what can I do about them and how can I fix them? Or even just work with the energy and help it to be much more smooth and be able to accept myself more. I love that work. And if I can reconnect somebody with their own soul, their own path, and their own way of being, it makes my heart sing.
That's where it comes from for me. I don't like it. Okay, do another one.
Former Yugoslavia in the town of Vukovar, which is in Croatia.
Thank you.
Being intuitive means that one can communicate with... What?
I'm losing it, Jeannie. Yes, I am. Who are you? So,
where does the
Oh. Cut that part out. I don't like it.
Gretchen Heidel, and I am talking about today, I am talking about astrological and something really interesting.
296. Certainly our practices with you. The following 5 are going to introduce you to themselves.